Hello and welcome to Cox Notes, where I just do about anything that comes to my mind. Recently I began posting some historical items that I call Montrose Tidbits. These are not meant to be comprehensive history of the Montrose, Colorado and its area, but rather some interesting little tidbits that haven't been looked at before. This is number 3 in the series, and if you haven't seen the other 2, I urge you to do that. And I also urge you to subscribe because it could be fun for all of us. Now, today I'm going to talk a little bit about the county fair in Montrose, which wasn't always known as the Montrose County Fair. We'll take a look back at how this all got started and some of the interesting things that happened. I'm going to, it's kind of early to be talking about fair. That's what you may think. But that's not really true. There are many 4-H members, FFA members, members of fair boards, county commissioners, fairgrounds maintenance people that are in February. They are looking forward to the next fair, and Montrose has such a wonderful history of the fair, which began as the Western Slope Fair rather than the county fair. I'm going to depend heavily on publication of the Montrose Enterprise, an older newspaper in Montrose, one of the first. And I've always been intrigued by this paper. It was generally only 4 pages, but they managed to cram things into it. And they were very supportive of the Western Slope Fair, which had its own controversy. It created a rivalry of sorts, especially between Grand Junction and Montrose, and I'll get into that later. But let's take a look at what really intrigued me, at least, about the history of the fair. What ultimately became the Montrose County Fair actually started in late 1800s as the Western Slope Fair. A significant rivalry, mostly between Grand Junction and Montrose, developed over the term Western Slope. By 1896, the Western Slope Fair Committee was up and running strong. Some of the most prominent business people, ranchers, and farmers were represented on the committee. In the September 1886 issue of the Enterprise, it was reported the planning for the fair was nearly complete, and the full schedule of events would appear in the next issue. A lengthy article ended with these words, quote, "The entire program will appear next week in these columns, and you are earnestly requested to look over it carefully so as to be fully posted on each day's event. Then it would be well for you to keep a copy in your pocket for immediate reference in case you are puzzled." End of quote. The report from the Fair Committee said the Entertainment Committee will have to, quote, "work very hard, and every person who is interested is expected to roll up his pants and wade in to help the good thing along." The Montrose County Fairgrounds, as it exists today, is an impressive complex. It started with pretty humble beginnings. Let's take a look around and see what's here today. The first thing we notice is the abundance of various places for 4-H members and others to take care of their animals and get them ready for showing. Over the years, upgraded grandstands and upgraded washing stalls and many other things have been added. The racetrack has been upgraded many times. It was a very important part of the fair since its very beginning. The latest addition to the Montrose County Fairgrounds is that of the Event Center, which is a point of pride for some and a point of controversy for others. But it's used almost on a daily basis by those who are looking for a place to train horses, do various maneuvers with their horses. There's almost every day there's somebody in the event center doing something. Nearly 130 years ago, this is what the fairgrounds looked like. In the foreground is the racetrack. Horse racing was a very big part of the Western Slope Fair. Business houses often closed down for several days in the afternoons in recognition of the fair. The local news coverage of the 1896 fair took the entire front page of the Montrose Enterprise. The judging of livestock included 8 lots, half of which were dedicated to horses. Mules, cattle, sheep, and swine rounded off that department. Department B was the poultry division. Department C was the farm product department, which included everything from winter wheat to potatoes and all those green vegetables thrown in the various lots. Department D was dedicated to fruits, something that was becoming very important on the Western Slope. Department E was the kitchen and pantry division, where the women of the area could show off their skills in canning, baking, and putting up preserves. And finally, Department F, set aside for things like painting and drawing, penmanship and sewing. Can you imagine the pride a young lady would have bringing home a blue ribbon in any of those categories? The fair continued to grow exponentially over the next several years. Among its many attractions were the appearances of Ivy Baldwin, the famous balloonist. Here we see Baldwin preparing to inflate his balloon at the fairgrounds. There were hundreds of people that would come from all over the state to watch this, and Baldwin was a real pioneer in aerial photography. On more than one occasion, he took a photographer with him and floated around the country taking aerial pictures, including one of Ophir Loop. The support of local businesses has never waned. In 1903, the Montrose Hardware Company gave away a fancy buggy to the winner in the grain competition. So, if you go to the fairgrounds today and look and listen very hard, perhaps you can hear the horses racing around the track. Perhaps you can see a hot air balloon ascending in the distance. Just perhaps. This has been Cox Notes, Montrose Tidbit number 3. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it sparks some interest in history. And above all, I hope you have a wonderful day.